Anthony out from out here.
Let's get
so.
the fence riders here.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
We've
let's
done
do
this
it
in
here,
a while.
guys. We haven't done fence riders in a
Did
very long time.
everybody respond?
No. Did most people respond? Yes.
Who did not respond?
Mr. COVID.
Well.
I have my headphones half off, so I didn't hear what Mike said there. But
Go
we'll
ahead.
get into question number 1 here.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready? Will Deshaun Watson account for more total touchdowns than Lamar Jackson? This is one of our few unanimous answers here, Steve. Sorry, Steve and I were a little out of sync there. But this was one of our few unanimous answers. McNuggets, Bull, Brad, Jason, G, Tyvis, and Earl all said yes.
Let's keep it quick. Who wants to start? I have my reasoning.
Some of this is us being homers. I looked at it from the perspective of I don't have any faith that Lamar Jackson's going to play. I think it's more likely that I think their numbers in terms of total touchdowns will be probably, if they both played the full season, would probably be close, but I would lean towards Watson. So I was already leaning that way. And I think, well, who's more likely to get hurt? It's Lamar Jackson. So that made it pretty easy.
Nah, this is easy for me. Because I'm just going to start saying this. I don't know why we're doing all this prefacing. It's 2 weeks before the season. If I believe that Deshaun Watson is back to being Deshaun Watson, he's just better than Lamar Jackson. Let's just be clear.
I agree.
Totally agree. But Lamar's going to still get a lot of rushing touchdowns.
He's going to get some touchdowns, but I feel he's better. He has a better arm. He's not as good, dynamic of a runner, but they're going to run some too. And Deshaun Watson is mobile. Yeah. So I just think he's better than Lamar Jackson, and I think he's going to get more touchdowns.
In Watson's last 3 years as a starter, his total touchdown, this question was total touchdowns, 31, 33, 36. Lamar Jackson's 3 years as a starter, 33, 19, 20. Now, injuries obviously played a major role in Lamar's last 2 years.
Played a major role in my decision.
And also why I went. But take injuries out, I still go Watson because I don't buy into – I'm talking myself more into the Steelers and talking myself out of the Ravens day by day here.
Yeah.
I don't like their receivers. I don't trust the fact that OBJ and Bateman and all these guys they have outside of Zay Flowers can stay healthy. I don't trust the Todd Monken offense. He's coming from college back to the pros. Who knows what that's going to look like?
Plus, I don't buy you can.
And I just don't.
Lamar Jackson is who he is. You can't make him a different type of quarterback.
Exactly. And I think his
that.
MVP season is one of the single greatest seasons in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
That is not who Lamar Jackson is. That was the outlier, just like Cam Newton's MVP
Lamar
season.
Jackson's really good. Deshaun Watson's better. It's that simple. Plus, he's more injury prone.
Yes.
Lamar, so it's an easy
all on the
answer.
same side.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We did have 2 unanimous answers. That was one of them.
Okay.
The next couple are not.
That was. So question number 2 is, will Nick Chubb score at least 15 total touchdowns?
This was the toughest one for me. I went back and forth on this one a few times.
And I think it was pretty split.
Our yes is Bull, Jason, and G, and our no is McNuggets, Brad, Tyvis, and Earl.
You guys can start first. Tell me why the
Where's
answer
Earl?
is yes.
We need an Earl.
Earl texted us. I called him this morning. He didn't answer. I called him. I wanted him to be involved, but we got to add his picture.
We got to add an Earl.
Yeah, bad job out of me. I was very behind this morning on everything, so I did not add his headshot in.
Earl's headshot should be Donovan Mitchell.
So Earl's headshot
or DPJ.
So Earl's headshot is Brad, right?
Yeah, Earl, in a way, yeah. But Brad did answer. No, Brad still answers.
That's funny. Okay.
Go ahead.
You guys said yes. Why yes?
Go ahead, G.
Well, because we just talked about it. They did not get another back. They didn't really go out and get a veteran one that's going to take up some of these snaps or carries. So when I'm looking at Nick Chubb, he had 12 last year on a pitch count. This year, I think he's going to get more touches. He's going to be in the game more on third down, more in the game on goal line because Kareem Hunt was more of a goal line back. I think he's going to at least get an opportunity to get 15, playing against lighter boxes as well because Deshaun Watson can throw the ball. I say he gets 15 touchdowns because he's going to go up against an easier task this year.
The most touchdowns he's ever had in one season in his career total is 13.
Oh,
never had 14, never 15. He's had 13 twice.
10, 8, 12, 9, 13.
Yeah, 13 is the most he's ever had in his career. Yeah. The Browns have more options than they've ever had in Nick Chubb's tenure in Cleveland of guys who can score, especially down in the red zone, where it has been the Nick Chubb show, even when he was splitting carries with Kareem Hunt. Now they have Deshaun Watson, who's mobile. You have Elijah Moore, who's their red zone Swiss Army knife. You have Amari Cooper, David Njoku, I'm expected big things out of Cedric Tillman. I just think there are too many options to give one guy 15 touchdowns, even if Nick Chubb, the player, has the capability of scoring 17, 18, 19 touchdowns. He's that good.
Yeah.
I just think the Browns have too many options.
It's hard
to bet
because
on the
he's
over.
never done it. I think you're overstating the options. I'm not. Cedric Tillman as a rookie is a big red zone
And
option.
I don't
Just
wanna,
an option to take away from let's just hand it to Nick
I
Chubb.
don't want to see Elijah
I don't
Moore.
think Elijah Moore's doing much in the goal line.
I want Nick Chubb to get the ball 5 times if they can in 4 downs.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's going to be, just in general, and he has the capability of, forget the red zone, like busting out a 40-yard touchdown.
Any given time,
and with
yes.
a smaller box, he is going to have those opportunities even more, I think. And it's tough. In the end, I'm probably wrong. You're probably
15's
right,
a lot. Like,
it's
15 is a lot. And Nick Chubb last year scored 13. He scored the one against the Jets when he shouldn't. He should have fell. Remember, he ended up scoring.
Whatever.
Could have
Yeah,
fell.
yeah,
So, like, there's always one or two that could go either way.
In fairness, the Browns' offense overall
Should score way more points.
touchdowns than they ever have.
Totally.
So the
totally
total
agree.
numbers will go up. All right, next one, Anthony.
All right, so question 3, also typo in the graphic, hands up, my bad, I didn't double check it. But will 3 players on the Browns have at least 750 receiving yards? Brad, Jason, G, Tyvis, and Earl said yes, and no was McNuggets and Bull.
750 is a lot. How many teams have 3 guys with 750?
I did the
We
research.
did the
I know
research
the
on this.
answer. It was 3 teams last year. Can you name the 3 real quick?
Cincinnati,
Correct.
Philly,
Incorrect. All 3 AFC teams.
Kansas City.
Incorrect.
Chargers.
Correct.
Oh, and not the Bills.
You got 5. Voice is great radio.
Dolphins.
3. No, Dolphins didn't have it.
They
had
third
two crazy.
guy did
They had 2
nothing.
correct. It was the Jaguars. And
Oh,
of
yeah.
those 3 teams,
Yeah.
the third receiver had 766 yards, 762, and 752.
Yeah.
The third receiver.
Oh, you were with me on the only
I'm
notes.
on no.
Yeah.
The third receiver only, at most, had 16 yards over that threshold. It is so hard to spread the wealth that evenly
Yeah.
and have guys be that productive. They have 4 or 5 guys on the roster who I think are capable of having 750 yards.
Yeah.
I just don't think capable equals realistic.
I think
in
you'll
terms
have
of health.
2, and then I think between Elijah Moore, DPJ, and David Njoku, I think all 3 guys probably end up somewhere between 6 and 800, right? But I don't think 2 of those 3 get over 750 to me.
And G, stat for you. So 3 teams last year had 3 over 750. Last season, 18 teams, more than half the league, had 1,000, a 750, and over 500. But that 500 to 750 third guy,
Yeah.
very
It's
few
hard.
teams actually
Especially
eclipse that
when you think
threshold.
about it. Okay, the 3 teams that did it were Cincinnati, who the other 2?
Jacksonville
Yeah.
and the Chargers.
Okay, those are all pass first teams.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not Jacksonville. I don't know what their percentage was, but the Bengals and Chargers throw the ball a lot. And the Browns are going to throw the ball a lot, but probably not as high a percentage as the Bengals because
They
they
still
got
have Nick Chubb. Yeah.
So if we're expecting Nick Chubb to have a monster season, which I think we all are, I'm just not, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's impossible, certainly, but
It's
750 is
It's a
hard
high
for
number,
a
yeah.
third receiver.
G, you said yeah. Why yes?
Well, look, because I think sometimes you look at it, you got Mark Cooper who will be open. He's going to get his 1,000. Now, if I look at the other guys, I can foresee a situation where you got a deep threat that may not get to targets, but he has a lot of yards because he's catching deep passes. Now, that may not fit Elijah Moore, but if you're looking at it like he's the fastest of the receivers, I think he's going to get 1,000. Where it comes down to
1,000?
yeah, I think he's getting 1,000.
Wow.
That's
Because here's what people don't realize. Even the year that Baker had in 2019, or is it 2020?
2020.
In 2020, that was when they went to the playoffs, right? What was Freddie Kitchens' year? 2019?
Yep.
yeah.
2019, both Odell and Jarvis had over 1,000 yards. And nobody was like, people thought it was a crazy year. And then you go back and look, and you see that
Yeah, they barely went over 1,000.
But then you look, and Nick Chubb had 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
So I don't know who, like you rounded up. I don't know if David Njoku had about 400 or 500. But my thing is, sometimes you can put numbers up, and it's kind of weird because they're like, wow, they had that many yards,
I just think
and it's one extra game.
I hear you. I think in the end, the Browns have enough decent options. Like none of their pass catchers are great. Amari Cooper's very good, right? The rest of the guys to this point are just, nice players.
Yeah.
But I think Deshaun Watson is going to spread it around a lot between Moore and DPJ and Tillman and Goodwin and Njoku
and Chubb out the backfield.
That I don't think, I think there'll be a bunch of guys between 4 and 800. And it'll add up to a lot, but in the end, I can't see two of those guys getting over 750.
Who is okay? So out of that group of guys, who do you guys believe is the most? If they did do it at 750, who's most likely to have it out of the rest? I think Elijah Moore and
Njoku,
Amari Cooper and Moore are the ones I'm putting there. But I think Njoku is more likely to get to 750 than DPJ. Or Goodwin, or somebody else, or Tillman.
I'd actually flip that. I would put, if I was ranking who I think at the end of the season will lead the Browns in receiving yards, it's Cooper for me, and Njoku, then Moore. I'd go in that order. I think
that's interesting.
Sometimes there's so much hype around a player that it's a smokescreen. Like I'm going back to the NFL draft, and I can't think of a great example, but Team X loves this player. They love this, and they're just trying to get you to believe they love players, so some team trades up. And they move back. And this is not a knock on Elijah Moore whatsoever. But you hear all this stuff about Elijah Moore. Cincinnati's hearing the same stuff. Okay, we're going to put a little extra coverage on Elijah Moore. Guess who's open in the middle of the field? Njoku.
And teams are not making defensive decisions based on hype from media.
Not hype from media, but you hear, and they're looking at stuff. They used Elijah Moore in ways that we hadn't seen them use any offensive player in that system. Since Stefanski, am I wrong?
I think Elijah Moore or Njoku or DPJ, I think any of them could finish second. I think it's almost
just
an equal
for the sake
chance.
of this. So we all agree
if
Cooper's
I had
probably
to pick, I'd pick Elijah Moore second on the team in yards. I think it's possible DPJ has more than him. I think it's possible Njoku has more than him. I just can't see two of those three guys getting over 750 yards. It's a lot. 750 is more than you think.
It's 65 yards a game is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and Njoku, I don't know. That's how many tight ends get more than 750 yards? It's not that many.
I'm buying, and I told y'all, I'm buying Jacksonville stock. I'm buying Njoku stock this year. I really think Njoku is poised for a monster season.
I drafted him as I looked at it, and I looked around the league at tight ends, and I think he's going to get more touches than Dalton Schultz. I think he's going to get more touches than George Kittle because he's injury prone, and they talk about spreading it around.
Yeah, but Njoku's been injury prone too.
Yeah.
Yes. I think if you look at it, you could honestly, legitimately say, if after you got Kelsey, Edwards, I don't know if you would put Darren Waller ahead of him because he's been injured so much.
Andrews, not Edwards.
Mark Andrews. Yeah. So after those two, I mean, I could see myself being like, all right, is Njoku fourth?
I don't know about that. I mean, it's possible.
He could be. I mean, right now he's not.
I mean,
Hawkinson's above him right now.
You could throw him.
I got him. I think on my, I make
your fantasy
spreadsheets. I'll tell you where I got him. I think I got him 9th amongst tight ends.
I have him higher on my personal rankings.
Well, but you're letting fandom get in the way, Mike.
No,
you can't do that.
I think I'm letting opportunity in the way.
I saw the way they used him in Kansas City. They put Elijah Moore.
I got him 10th.
You got him 10th.
I got Kelsey, tier 1.
By himself. Tier 2, Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson, Darren Waller. Now, Waller's injury prone. Waller's the wild card, but if he's
I
healthy,
go into it with, I can't project injuries, so what do you do? And then tier 3, Kittle, Goddard, Pitts, Engram, Freiermuth, and then Njoku.
I think that David Njoku.
And then Dalton Kincaid, the rookie, right after that.
I
agree with the tiers. Order be damned, but tiers I'm right
but
there
the tiers I'm with it. But I think that Njoku could be at the highest, third tier.
He could, but those guys have more of a track record.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think Kyle Pitts has the most upside of all the tight ends.
He also could be but
he's on a team with
highest
a bad
risk, lowest ceiling. Yeah.
I don't draft fantasy players. A tip: don't draft fantasy players with on teams with bad quarterbacks.
It's tough.
I stay away from.
Can I say one thing and we'll move on to the next question?
Yeah.
Do you know how good of a feeling it is to have this discussion saying who could be the third receiver with 750 yards? And there's a lot of teams out there being like, do we really have one guy we're confident is going to have 750?
Well, I don't know if there's a lot of teams that don't have one guy.
There's a couple.
You're talking out your ass now.
Who on the Colts is going for 750 this year?
Michael Pittman.
With that quarterback? With Anthony Richardson?
Doesn't matter. You're going to get 750.
I'm just saying the fact that we're on the Out of these guys, we're talking about two
I
or three
agree
guys who
with
could be
your
the
main
third.
point. You went too far with the last part of it.
Okay, maybe.
But
maybe.
yes, the Browns have had many years where you're like, they've got one guy that's good and everybody else sucks.
Is there a team out there that doesn't have like their starting receivers
The
don't
Giants.
have 800 yards?
The Giants' offensive receivers are terrible.
They didn't have not one of them had 800 yards.
Well, the Giants were completely
Last year, I
riddled
don't
by
think so.
injuries. Yeah, I don't think so.
That's almost impossible.
Look up the Colts. I'll look up the Giants.
The Colts, Michael Pittman had 1,000 yards, didn't he?
The Giants' leading receiver last year at 724.
Oh wow, that's bad.
They had 0 reach 750.
And they're a playoff team too.
And their second leading receiver, by the way, Slayton, who led the team, played 16 games. Richie James played 17. He had 569.
Wow, that's tough. I didn't. That was
Michael
awesome.
Pittman did not have 1,000. He had 1,000 yards in 21. Last year
Yeah.
he had 925. He missed
Okay.
one game.
So those are two teams without 1,000 receiver.
There's more teams than you think that didn't have 1,000
Wow,
yard
that's
receiver.
crazy.
Seven,
but,
like
but you said 750, Mike. You didn't say 1,000 yards.
no. I know. I'm just saying. To G's point,
I was
like,
asking.
Yeah,
like,
he has a different
Is it
question
even
there.
possible that you can have a number one
Yeah.
receiver with under 800 yards or less?
I mean,
Yes.
it's unlikely, but yeah, the Giants, I can't think of another team that would have had. There's probably another team that had maybe a wide receiver
That's
that didn't get
crazy.
800 yards. I can't, maybe do.
Did the Chiefs have a Kelsey doesn't like an actual receiver?
Yeah, I think Juju had 800 yards.
He got like
didn't
900. He got 900.
stats.
900.
Look it up right now, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, and what are we up to? Number 4?
4,
We got,
yeah.
we got 3 more.
3 more. All right, we're
And
good.
I don't think the Ravens had one.
No, the Ravens did not.
Chiefs had 1, and Ravens last one we'll look up
Ravens didn't have one.
Juju had how many yards?
900. I bet you the
Yeah,
Falcons. I
yeah.
bet you the Falcons didn't have one either.
Drake London? No,
No.
he didn't have 1,000.
They didn't have 1,000.
Let's see. How many yards did Drake
Ravens had no receivers. Mark Andrews, tight end, no receivers over 500. Their leading receiver, Demarcus Robinson, who played 17 games, had 458.
That's crazy.
And
Drake
Falcons-
London had 866
Okay,
yards.
so they
last
did
year.
it. All right, that's
Yeah,
enough.
There you go. All right, number 4, Anthony.
All right, so number 4, guys. Will the Browns
My favorite
line,
question.
or will the Browns defensive line minus Myles Garret record at least 27 combined sacks? This one's
That's
pretty
a
split.
lot, by the way, without not including your best player.
Is it
Well, how many sacks do you think Myles Garrett's going to have?
20?
22.
Okay, 22.
I say he's
How
breaking
many
the record
teams do you
this
think
year.
had 48, 49 sacks last year? Only 2 or 3.
The Commanders,
Not a lot. I think
it was
Commanders and
7.
the Eagles.
The Eagles did.
Commanders, Eagles, and check me the 49ers too.
Before we get too far down, I'm going to give you guys the answers here. Yes is McNuggets, G, and Earl. No is Bull, Brad, Jason, and Tyvis.
So 47 sacks, is that a threshold?
No, because you said, well, you're saying 20. He's saying 22. You're saying 20.
So, yeah,
So we'll split the difference and go 21. So that's 48.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams had 48 sacks last year or more, including the Eagles, who had 70.
Yeah.
Right. And
Chiefs had 55.
2 of those teams had exactly 48.
Correct.
So that's hard.
Yes, I have the numbers. I'll tell you exactly how
Yeah.
it's going to go. I did a little G. Bush last night. I looked
Yeah.
into my crystal ball. What McNugget Damas?
Yeah.
Nostra McNuggets, whatever you want to say.
Nostra McNuggets.
What do you like better, McNugget Damas or Nostra McNuggets?
No Nostra McNuggets.
Go
is
ahead.
funny.
And I see Joe Burrow on his back. I see Lamar Jackson sacked, wiping dirt off his jersey. I see Zadarius Smith with 11 sacks.
By the
this
way,
season.
we've passed up on 3-4 pause opportunities today.
It's
including
because-
a great one with Mary Kay.
It's because we're
Well,
maturing as a show. We're
Yeah,
maturing
yeah,
as a show.
yeah.
Yeah.
We got that memo.
Yeah.
I see Zadarius Smith with 11
Yeah.
sacks. I see Ogbo with 7.5. I see Dalvin Tomlinson with 3. Very modest. I see Shelby Harris with 2. No big deal. I see Mo Hurst with 4.5. And I see everyone else combined with 5. And when you add those numbers together, that gives me 33 sacks for players not named Myles Garret.
That's a lot. You think you're going to get 19 sacks between Ogbo
Yes.
and
Yes.
I got him. I got it even higher. I got him. I got
do.
13 sacks for Zadarius Smith,
I thought I was being low, too. I
And-
thought I undershot this. To be
and
honest.
I got 7 sacks from Ogbo.
So you got 20 total.
20 total between them 3. Then you got and Tomlinson for 3 is definitely easy. I went 1.5 for Shelby Harris. I gave 1.5 for Elliott, and then I gave 1 for Hurst.
No, Hurst is. I would bet my
And then the rest got like
paycheck
6.
that Mo Hurst has more than 1 sack this year.
Yeah, you're right. That's kind of low.
Yeah. Come on.
how many sacks you got for Ogbo, the two of you?
I had 7.5.
I got 7.
You know, he has 9.5 in his career, right?
Yes, and very limited playing time early in Houston.
And he's not gonna sniff a double team. They might
He
have
came-
a running back blocking
The
him.
second-
Last
half-
year he played every game and had 5 sacks.
The second half of last season, his pass rush win rate, which is one of the most important stats you could look at when you're evaluating
Doesn't
a pass
guarantee
rusher.
sacks, though.
No, but it proves he can beat guys, and now he's going one-on-one when the focus is on the other side of the line with Darius Smith and Myles Garret.
Right.
I'm confident. I mean, they were comfortable going into the season with Agbo being the number 2 pass rusher
Yeah.
alongside Myles
But
Garrett. They added Darius
the point
Smith.
is, that's a high projection
Well,
for a guy who's never
let me
done
let me
it.
add one more thing to this. We
Yeah.
just talked about the Browns' offense with Nick Chubb potentially scoring 15 touchdowns. Bull said
Yeah.
15, with 4 to 5 options of potential 7,500-yard receivers.
Yeah.
We think they're going to score a lot of points, which means the other team's going to be in a ton of passing situations trying to catch up. More pass rush opportunities, better pass rushers all in all, more sacks for everybody. Bull, when one person eats, we all eat, man. If you're going to order a 20-pack of McNuggets, you ain't eating them all. You share them with the squad.
You're gonna
This
have a
is
heart
how
attack.
easy. Just call. Listen. So if Jay is Myles Garrett and Bull is Za'Darius Smith, then I could be Ogbo. You see, if I was just trying to be out here by myself and trying to get these views, would I possibly have gone viral just on my own YouTube channel? It's a possibility.
You could have
but
won one AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
I could have.
Yeah.
I could have went viral, kinda, but nah. Since you on the show and Jay on the show, if I don't gotta do much, all I gotta have is one-liners. I don't gotta have no monologues. I ain't gotta lead. I come with my hottest stuff, and they be like, "Oh my God, this is fire! Too much is cold." So that
right.
that turns in that little 5 sacks.
All right.
Now I got 10.
I like it.
And Jim Schwartz, historically, his teams
Yeah.
have ranked in the upper echelon of the NFL year after year in total
Hey,
team
I think
sacks.
it's a high number. I was just under it, but I don't think it's impossible. I don't think you're crazy for picking the over.
Now,
All right.
do you have Myles Garrett? How many sacks you think he getting?
I got him with 20.
20. So
What's
same
the
as me.
record?
22.5.
Oh, he gonna get that.
I hope that would be cool if he's
That
going
would
for
be
it.
really
He gonna
cool.
get that.
All right, number 5, Anthony.
All right, so
Wait,
number
Anthony,
5.
I just thought so. Hold on. If he does it, it'd probably be against your boy Joe Burrow, your one true love in week 18. Is he gonna take it? Is he gonna take a bow like Brett Favre did for Strahan?
Joe Burrow's not my one true love. I like him a lot as a player, but let's not get carried away.
We have to have if he has 21.5 sacks going into week 18, we have to have a live stream on Bull for the whole game, like a live GoPro for the minute Myles Garrett sacks Joe Burrow, and we
because
can watch his soul leave his body on live TV.
That game is
gonna
that
mean
has
everything.
all the implications.
Yeah.
I feel like that game is like, okay, are you going to make the playoffs or not?
Could be.
That or the Jets game. Week 17 and week 18, the schedule
Huge.
could not have played out
Oh,
better for the Browns
that's
in terms of like entertainment value for the last 2
entertainment,
weeks.
yeah.
Let's get to number 5.
Two more.
Yeah, so number 5. Who will record their first career interception? Greg Newsome or Martin Emerson? Newsome was Jason Tyvis, and Emerson was McNuggets, Bull, Brad, G, and Earl.
Well, we know Earl has a man crush on Martin Emerson,
does,
which
yeah.
is totally valid. Martin Emerson's the coolest dude. We talked to him at the softball
Yeah.
game. Elite person, awesome on the field. And as Jason said the other day, interception just might not be Newsome's thing. 1 in 5 years. I'm playing the
Well, Emerson
the
didn't have
numbers.
any last year either.
Yeah, but he had a bunch in college. I was actually on the sidelines
Yeah.
shooting the A&M Mississippi State game when Martin Emerson picked off a pass, ran back for a pick 6. Do you know who he picked off, by the way?
No idea.
Kellen Mond.
He stinks.
So
who played for A&M for what
was
seemed
there
like forever.
my entire career and the whole person before me's career at A&M.
Right.
So I was there. I've seen with my own eyes Martin Emerson pick off a pass, return it for a touchdown. I have yet to see Greg Newsome do that because his interception came at Northwestern, and frankly, no one watches Northwestern football. So I'm going with Martin Emerson.
Yeah.
Make me proud, Marty.
Martin Emerson is more aggressive than Greg Newsome. Not saying that like Greg Newsome is like soft batch cookies or anything.
Martin Emerson is him.
Oh, look at no cap. No cap.
Okay. By the way, did you see Deion Sanders getting into it with that clown Danny Cannell?
I did.
Danny Cannell. Sit this one out.
He's a
pal.
troll. I mean, he's a certified
I mean, he's
troll.
a total clown.
What did he say?
Well, Deion, they talked to him about being a Seminole, and he was like, well, but I graduated. He graduated. He actually graduated college from some small school in Alabama. I can't think of the name of it. And so he brought this up at the press conference. But he was kind of joking about it, like, "Oh, I'm not really a Seminole. I'm a whatever the school is. I can't think of what it's called." And so Danny Cannell was all triggered about this on Twitter, and he was like, "That's disrespectful to Florida State. They retired your number." And like, dude, Danny Cannell, shut the hell up.
Come on, bro. Why would you even get in that arena? You're not even in that level where you could be tweeting
Cannell was a D1 quarterback.
No, Cannell started at Florida State.
Yeah, but he wasn't any good in the pros.
No, he was terrible.
But Deion's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, Deion's a
shut
GOAT.
the hell up.
Like, Danny Cannell's a radio guy.
By the way, Deion was a pretty good baseball player too.
What
the guy
you
played
mean?
2 sports. He was an all-star in baseball.
He just pulled up. Going to the World Series.
You know what's crazy is around that time you had 3 players play both sports. You had Bo, you had Prime, and you had Brian Jordan. Remember him?
Brian Jordan played for the Atlanta Falcons.
Falcons and the Braves.
Wait, did they have Deion and Brian Jordan at the same time?
I don't think it was the same time.
That'd be crazy. They had 2 players simultaneously playing for both teams.
By the way, you know what current NBA GM played both Major League Baseball and the NBA. He's a GM right now.
He's GM?
And he's a very well... What's that? Wait, one more. Yeah, that's right. We got he's a very well-known GM who recently changed teams in the last couple of years.
Elton Brand?
No. Older than that.
Kurt Rambis didn't play in MLB, did he?
No.
Danny Ainge?
Danny Ainge.
Okay.
Now G left me hanging.
There you go. And I was like,
Danny Ainge played for the Blue Jays and, of course, for the Celtics.
All right.
There you go.
Last one, what's up?
Anthony. Go
All
ahead.
right, guys. The last one in our much welcome back Fence Rider segment. Will the Cleveland Browns make the playoffs in 2023? Gentlemen, ladies, grab the Kool-Aid. We are a unanimous yes.
Everybody said yes.
For
you knew that
the Browns going to the playoffs. Browns winning the Super Bowl. We're going all the way.
I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl, but they could.
What do you think? So we're all in agreement to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
If the question was, will the Browns win the Super Bowl?
I would say no.
Would it all been unanimous no? Would anyone have picked yes, G?
I think Earl or G could have.
Earl has them losing in the AFC. Earl's put it on the record on this show, so I'm not saying anything he hasn't already said. He believes the Browns lose to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. They make the AFC Championship, lose to Kansas City.
Only way they could see this is, and I don't think they'll do it. The only way I would have them go to the Super Bowl is if they have home field advantage. And I don't think Kevin Stefanski is savvy enough to push them. He'll be happy to be where they are, and they'll lose a game or something down the stretch and be like, "Why would you lose that game? You lost to this guy." They have to have home field advantage to me.
Here's the thing: when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, nobody had them going to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So if you're good enough to be a legit playoff team, which means you didn't get lucky because you were in a bad division, or
you're not the Jaguars
you're
last
the
year.
7 seed with a bad quarterback in a conference that's not that good. Well, that's not happening in this AFC. All 7 teams that make the playoffs in the AFC
are good.
Will have a legitimate chance to win to get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Now, when I make predictions personally, I think to myself, if they played the season 100 times, what result would happen most often? Not, I got a hunch on this team, or I hope this happens. What would happen most often? And what most often would happen in my mind is the Browns finish as the 6th seed in a wild card in the AFC, which means they don't get a home game, which means they play probably either Cincinnati or Buffalo in the first round, which is a very tough game on the road. Doesn't mean they couldn't win it. It just means it's tough. And the odds of getting to the Super Bowl as the 6th seed in this AFC are very slim. But certainly it is capable of happening. But if you say, is it – how could you pick anybody over the Chiefs right now in the AFC, realistically?
That's fair. We're going to do next week before the opening game of the season on Thursday our full predictions, superlatives, MVP picks. We're going to do all that. So I have the right to change what I'm going to say right now.
Yeah.
You have them as the 6th seed. I have them as the 5 seed. If the playoffs were to begin tomorrow, how I see it playing, I have them as the 5 seed.
All right. Very
G,
good.
where do you have them real quick before we move on?
5 seed would probably, how many wins you thinking that is?
10.
I think you got to win 11 games.
I think I have 10, 5, 10, 6, 10, 7.
And if you win 12 games, what's that?
One or
probably
2.
The division.
12 wins the AFC North this year.
Probably. I don't think it's a short. It could be a tiebreaker win of the division, but probably. If the Browns won 12 games, I think they'd have
that division is so tough. If you come out of that gauntlet playing 6 games against the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Ravens in totality, you go with 12 wins, you're winning the division. Plain and simple.
I think you have to be 4-2 in the division.
Probably.
4-2.
Probably.
I got them 5th, 4th, 5th, somewhere around there.
which is not home field advantage.
Which is not.
Fourth would be in the first round.
Fourth would be, but
Yeah.
Oh no, in the first, they need that.
Yeah.
Like
If you win your division, you get a home game.
they need that home game. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They not. I don't. Like I said, I just don't. I don't see it.